Az indiai közéletet a koronavírus mellett egy szeptemberben elfogadott törvénycsomag uralja, ami fellazította az agrárpiaci szabályozásokat. A változtatások ellenzői szerint az új törvények több 100 millió indiai megélhetését lehetetlenítik el. A veszélyeknek leginkább kitett gazdák állandó akciókkal próbálnak nyomást helyezni a törvényben érdekelt üzleti szereplőkre és a döntéshozókra. A széles tömegeket megmozgató társadalmi ellenállás célja egyszerű és világos. A Modi vezette indiai kormány vonja vissza a törvényeket. छड़ सारी फिक्रा गांदे आए जालिम वापस जाओ 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 मिट्टी दे कण कण विचों है आंधी ऐही गूंज ऐ जालिम वापस जाओ.
India got independent in 1947, and after that there was a certain kind of planning that went into how agriculture in India would be structured.
India was in the middle of two spheres of influence in the battle between capitalism and communism. India was a place where the United States government invested a lot of money. They did that using a technology called the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution was explicitly a program to grow cheap food for people in cities so that they wouldn't become agitators for communism. The government said, fine, we will have intermediaries who will help farmers get the best price. And not only will we have intermediaries who will find the best price for farmers, we will make sure that there is a minimum support price so that no matter how badly the market does, farmers know that they're going to get a certain level of income.
But since 1990s, we have seen a dramatic shift in the economic policies that were followed in Indian agriculture. Before the 1990s, the state played a vital role in running the institutions and providing support to the farmers. But since 1990s, we have seen that there has been subsequent reduction in government support to farming. The cost of cultivation has been increasing very steadily, and also the levels of debt for the rural households have been increasing. People can't continue cultivating, which has great implications for the country's food security.
The reason that farmers are on the streets today is because the price supports are now being taken away. So farmers, they're very concerned that the Indian government is now giving up on farmers and is instead handing over the keys to this vast agricultural economy to a few billionaires.
All the trade from the regulated markets will shift out to the private markets. And the private markets don't have any regulation. So there will be a great possibility of a lot of exploitation of farmers. Private players will come in, they will store the commodities for their own profits and sell them later when the prices go up.
The COVID has been a bonanza for Modi because he pushed through the agricultural legislation. This is the rule. What is the rule? No! You cannot do this! The government is okay with peasants leaving the land, and the government is okay with epic levels of farm workers' suicide in the areas where these larger scale farmers are operating. There are epidemic levels of drug abuse and alcoholism and suicide and social crisis. So the reason that farmers are on the street is that they see that if you get the private sector dropping prices and kicking people off the land, all of this is going to get worse. But the Modi administration seems quite happy with that. He sees himself as the nationalist visionary who will cause you pain, but because he loves you. He is, in that way, that fascist figure who is administering tough love. But unlike the fascists, he doesn't particularly care about blood and soil. I mean, he's doing it because the market is compelling him to, and because certain kinds of oligarchs are compelling him to.
Nobody's saying that the existing policies were all perfect. But what the new laws, what they have done is, they've completely demolished the existing institutions.
The first act creates free, unregulated trade spaces outside the markets. The second act creates a framework for contract farming deals. The third act affects a different part of the chain. It eliminates the storage limits previously set by the government to control prices.
All three laws And the third law especially is a huge threat to India's food security. So it is not a matter of just farmers. It is also a matter of the poor consumers in India. Because if the prices rise in food, inflation increases, then it is basically the working population who depends on daily wages, who has to go and purchase food every day, will be the sufferer at the end of the day.
Modi has said so far that he is not going to tolerate anything at all other than possibly postponing the date in which these laws are enacted to 18 months from now. That's the only thing that he has on the table. And the farmers' movements, they've already had the largest day of action in the history of the planet. The largest single day protest was last year, where 250 million people were on strike in India around this issue.
Protest actually gained momentum in the northern states first. Farmers of Punjab started the protest right from June onwards because there was a lockdown. So they went up to their rooftops and they protested from their rooftops in the villages. Then slowly it started to spread out. There are about 500 organizations who have come together to form the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, the United Farmers Front. That came up in the month of October. On 26th November, they gave a call for Delhi Chalo, which is basically they would march to Delhi in protest of the laws. But what happened is that on 26th November, when the farmers were walking, there was a lot of police repression on the farmers. The farmers were stopped at the borders, Delhi borders. They were not allowed to enter the city. And since that 26th November, the farmers have been camping at the different borders of the capital.
6 महीने का राशन ले गए हैं पीछे घर वालों की हल्लाशेरी बहुत है भी हां डटे रहो मुड़का नहीं.
On the one hand, you have this moment of everyone coming together, but everyone is terrified of the mob. This is a real moment also of fear in India.
उनके ऊपर ये पत्थर मार रहे हैं, हमारे सामने आप देख रहे हैं. यही से बाहर से पत्थर उठा के इस वक्त भी अगर हम पैन करके दिखाएं, पुलिस वाले सीधे खड़े-खड़े उनकी शक्ल देख रहे हैं.
Farmers are being disappeared from the front lines. Many of the farmer leaders from the movements are being jailed and beaten.
आज भी हमारे 200 किसान 200 ट्रैक्टर दिल्ली के अंदर बंद हैं. ये नहीं पता कौन से थाने में है, कौन सी जेल में है.
ये हमारे किसानों के ऊपर ये डाल रहे हैं, ये अथरू के गैस के गोले.
What's happening in India is a foretaste of what is trying to be rolled out through a corporate UN public-private partnership that you will see more and more of through the year in the name of ending hunger. And so the more that you understand that there are people fighting back against that, who understand very well that you can't end hunger by reducing the wages of the poorest people in the country who depend on agriculture to survive, the more you understand that, the more you understand that if India wins, then the rest of the world wins. And if India loses, then I fear about the future of the planet because the model there will have been officially recognized and endorsed, and you'll see it rolled out through Africa and Latin America in the coming months and years.
ਮਿੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਕਣ ਕਣ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੈ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਐਹੀ ਗੂੰਜ ਐ ਜ਼ਾਲਿਮ ਵਾਪਸ ਜਾਓ ਜ਼ਾਲਿਮ ਜਾਓ ਵਾਪਸ ਜਾਓ ਜਾਓ ਜਾਓ